Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 million by 1 million online rendezvous. We are live casting to LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And we are delighted to see all of you in different time zones. Good morning to those in the American or, all of the American continent. Good afternoon to those in Europe and Africa. And good evening to those in India and Asia. Well, what we do here is part of the 1 million by 1 million Global Virtual Accelerator. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. And in support of that mission, we do all kinds of things. You may have met me through any number of different touch points. You may have met me in person, in some place where I've spoken, or in one of our rendezvous that happen regularly in Menlo Park, in the heart of Silicon Valley. You may have met me, the more likely scenario, through one of our online roundtables, the mentoring roundtables that happen every week. Or you may have met me in some of my travels. So whichever way we have met, or if we haven't met, we're meeting first time today, nice to meet you. And what we are going to do today is essentially going through some questions that I've been picking up through various interactions with many of you through the work that we do in entrepreneurship development. So my promise to you is, if you ask questions here today, I will look at them. I will either answer them in the comments, so use the public comments, public chat, public comments, whichever, whatever you're looking at. And then I will answer either today or I will answer in the next session if you have a question that requires a more long-winded answer. And I will pick it up and give you a longer answer in one of the upcoming sessions. Okay, I am going to start with the first question, which is, why is bootstrapping so important? As you know, in 1 million by 1 million, we have a very, very strong commitment to bootstrapping. Over the last decade and more, I've had the privilege of working with a large number of bootstrapped entrepreneurs. These include self-financed companies and also modestly capitalized startups that operate in a capital-efficient manner, applying the principles of bootstrapping. For those of you who haven't, I have a 1-hour LinkedIn course on LinkedIn Learning. It's called Bootstrapping with Sramana Mitra, or Sramana Mitra on Bootstrapping. It's a wonderful course, and I've got tremendous amount of feedback about it. If you're trying to understand bootstrapping, I would strongly recommend you go and recap that one. For our Seed Capital series of podcasts and blog interviews, I've interviewed hundreds of investors, especially micro VCs and angels who are playing an important role in the early stage game. You may have read one of my pieces, Bootstrapping to Exit, where I highlighted the importance of facilitating capital-efficient startups and smaller exits, including with small chunks of investment. In working through the current landscape of our industry, a few trends become evident. A large percentage of VCs are still chasing unicorns. Too much money chasing too few deals capable of delivering hypergrowth bids up valuations. Many death by overfunding tragedies have emerged. I talked about one last session. Entrepreneurs are reacting, as Erin Griffith pointed out in her New York Times article, more startups have an unfamiliar message for venture capitalists: get lost. My observation, having covered bootstrapping for a dozen plus years, is that the industry doesn't fully understand bootstrapping. Our industry doesn't fully understand bootstrapping. No, bootstrapping and venture capital are not mutually exclusive. The savviest and most successful entrepreneurs have bootstrapped first, raised money later. VCs love to invest in bootstrap startups that have validated and de-risked their ventures before institutional capital is invested. There is nothing wrong with that approach as long as entrepreneurs understand a few key principles. VCs love to come to the rescue of victory. Do not go to VCs as beggars, go as kings. Excess is not a requirement for success. Entrepreneurship equals customers, revenues, and profits. Financing is optional. Exit is optional. Hypergrowth is not a natural phenomenon, but VCs demand it. I do not believe entrepreneurs should tell VCs to get lost. I'm going to write regularly. I already write regularly a series on LinkedIn that is called Best of Bootstrapping. If you go to our blog, you will see case study after case study of wonderful bootstrapping stories and also wonderful bootstrappers raise money later stories. So subscribe to the Best of Bootstrapping series on LinkedIn, follow our blog, and get yourself educated on the subject. It is a very, very, very important subject. And please, if you haven't, go check out the bootstrapping course on LinkedIn Learning that I have presented. It's about a 1-hour course. You will learn a lot. That's my promise to you. Okay, we're going to go to the next question. And this is a question that I was trying to cover last week at the heels of a discussion on platform as a service, and we just ran out of time. So the question was, what do you think of Atlassian? Atlassian is a wonderful company. It's a truly wonderful company, and I've followed it for a long time, and I really, really respect this company. And they're doing something very interesting with their marketplace. According to a recent Markets and Markets report, the global enterprise collaboration market size is projected to grow from $31 billion in 2019 to $48.1 billion in 2024 at a CAGR of 9.2%. Atlassian is a leading service provider in this market, which recently reported first quarter results. Actually, this is not first quarter results. First quarter as in not first calendar quarter, it's their first quarter, fiscal quarter. They reported their first quarter results in, I think it was in October. And they beat us estimates. Atlassian's first quarter revenues grew 36% to $363.4 million, ahead of the market's forecast of $351.8 million. Net income was $69.3 million, or 0.28 per share, compared with the net loss of $242.4 million, or $1.03 per share a year ago. Subscription revenues grew 50%, maintenance revenues grew 90%, perpetual license revenues grew 13.4%, and other revenues grew 48%. So all across the board, great growth, excellent growth, improvement in all fundamental metrics, including profitability. The company ended the quarter with a total customer count of 144,000 plus active subscriptions or maintenance agreements. And they added over 7,000 new customers. For the second quarter, Atlassian expects revenues of $386 to $390 million. And that's in line. Actually, that beats street estimates of $381 million. For the full fiscal year 2020, Atlassian expects revenues in the range of $1.56 to $1.57 billion. And they expect per share earnings per share to be $1. So, and here's what I find really fascinating about what they're doing. They updated their cloud platform with new free and premium editions. Free plans of Jira. Jira is one of their platforms, right? Jira Software Confluence, Jira Software, Jira Service Desk, and Jira Core provide teams of all services, even small ones, a set of fundamental collaboration capabilities, team collaboration capabilities. Cloud premium plans of Jira, Confluence, and Jira Software, Jira Confluence, and Jira Service Desk enable teams to scale reliably with advanced features and premium support. During the earnings call, Atlassian announced the acquisition of CodeBarrel, the maker of automation for Jira, a tool that simplifies routine operations in Jira without writing code. Automation for Jira, which was earlier available exclusively on the Atlassian marketplace, is already used by 6,000 customers, from financial services firms like Visa to tech giants like Cisco to consumer companies like Airbnb and TripAdvisor. They use it simply to simplify routine operations like auto-assignment and creating recurring tasks, and automate parts of more advanced workflows. Sydney-based CodeBarrel, another Australian company, Atlassian is an originally Australian company, though they're now operating as a global company. CodeBarrel was founded in 2016, and they were part of the engineering team at Atlassian that built Jira. And with the acquisition, Atlassian now have easy access to automation that will greatly increase Jira's utility for customers and teams of all types, from DevOps to IT service management to HR to marketing, etc. So now here comes the really interesting thing. And if you were here last week, I talked about the platform as a service strategy that SaaS companies could be following. You may have heard me talk about this earlier. Atlassian has been investing heavily on its SaaS platform. It has built a thriving marketplace that offers more than 1,500 Jira apps and nearly 850 Confluence apps. Third-party developed apps help organizations with services ranging from IT service management, project management, customer support, etc. And earlier this year, from its SaaS marketplace, it had acquired another company, Good Software, a developer focused on its Confluence platform. The latest acquisition of CodeBarrel is another important step to enhance its cloud products. So in a way, everything I think a software as a service company should be doing to broaden its product portfolio by doing first a PaaS strategy, platform as a service strategy, and then, an app exchange marketplace, and then acquiring from that marketplace bootstrap companies or capital efficient companies to broaden its product portfolio. Atlassian is doing every single one of those. So I am a huge fan of Atlassian. All right, switching gears. This is a question I get all the time. I was doing a keynote on Saturday at the American Tamil Entrepreneur Association, and this topic came up. The question is, what is the actual probability for a startup to raise funding? So my first question is, are you raising money for your startup? Should you raise money? If you want money to build a minimum viable product, an MVP, your probability of raising funds, again, is 0%. If you have validation from 100 prospects, your probability of raising funds is 0.1%. If you have validation from 100 prospects plus an MVP, your probability of raising funds is 0.2%. If you have validation from 100 prospects plus an MVP plus non-paying customers. People who are doing pilots, evaluating your product in your beta program, but they're non-paying. Your probability of raising funds goes up to 0.3%. If you have validation from 100 prospects plus MVP plus paying customers, your probability of raising funds is 0.4%. If you have validation from 100 prospects plus MVP plus paying customers plus large total available market, 10. And this is, I'm talking bottom-up TAM, not top-down TAM. You need to learn how to do a bottom-up TAM analysis. In any case, if you have a large bottom-up TAM and all those other things, basically 100 prospects, validation from 100 prospects, MVP and paying customers, your probability of raising funds goes up to 0.5%. If you have MVP plus paying customers plus a large TAM plus a validated customer acquisition strategy, your probability of raising funds goes up further to 0.6%. If you have an MVP plus paying customers plus large TAM plus validated customer acquisition strategy plus fast growth rate, if you can credibly show that your growth rate is going to be a high velocity one, your probability of fundraising goes up to 0.7%. If you have an MVP plus paying customers plus large TAM plus validated customer acquisition strategy plus fast growth rate plus complete team, your probability of raising funds is 0.8%. If you have MVP plus paying customers plus large TAM plus validated customer acquisition strategy plus fast growth rate plus complete team plus traction, your probability of raising funds goes up to 0.9%. If you have an MVP plus paying customers plus large TAM plus validated customer acquisition strategy plus fast growth rate plus complete team plus traction plus track record, your probability of raising funds is maybe 1%. Over 99% of the entrepreneurs who seek financing get rejected. You need to bootstrap first, raise money later. Do not go to VCs as a beggar, go as a king. You can bootstrap with your paycheck, you can bootstrap using services, you can bootstrap to validation, you can bootstrap to traction. Remember, VCs love to come to the rescue of victory. Start bootstrapping now. All right, next question. Can a bootstrap company beat a highly funded VC-backed competitor? Can you win against a heavily funded competitor? Yes, you can, if you know how. Here's an example. Ask Al Lalani. Al has built Social Annex with just $3 million in financing. Competitors raised 30 to 40 million in VC funding, but they did not focus on customers, revenues, and profits. Al focused on customers, revenues, and profits. Competitors wasted money. Al did not have money to waste. Death by overfunding often destroys heavily funded competitors. Al's competitors were destroyed by overfunding. Al now has over $7 million in revenue. Al doesn't plan to raise any more money. Social Annex is growing very nicely. Can you replicate what Al did? Focus on rigorous execution and you have the formula. Next question. How can a startup increase their chances of getting into Techstars? Okay, let's take it from the top. What does Techstars want? Techstars is a small venture fund. Techstars invests seed money. Techstars takes equity in startups. Techstars invests in validated businesses. Ask Navin Shetty. Navin bootstrapped Blueprint registry with a paycheck for 2 years. Blueprint had 2,000 customers before Navin applied to Techstars. At demo day, Navin raised $1 million in funding. Unvalidated ideas will not get you into Techstars. A half-baked concept may get you in, but you risk not raising funding on demo day. Not raising funding on demo day equals a great lost opportunity. What if you first bootstrapped your concept, and if you needed help, use 1 million by 1 million for that? We don't take equity. 1 million by 1 million doesn't take equity. Once you validated your idea and created the framework of how you're going to build this business with our help, you can go apply to Techstars, and your odds of succeeding at Techstars will be much higher. You will raise money on demo day, most likely. Which startup founders have done a really great job at preserving their equity? What are some cases where startup founders preserved equity ruthlessly? Well, ownership matters. You have to understand that ownership really matters. So I'm going to tell you the story of how Mark Zuckerberg played his hand in the early days and ended up preserving an enormous amount of equity. Mark Zuckerberg retained 26% equity in Facebook and a huge amount of voting shares. Zuck's net worth is, close to $100 billion. How did he retain 26% share in Facebook? Facebook started with friends and family money in February 2004. By September 2004, it had ad revenues. Peter Thiel invested the first outside money. Peter Thiel invested $500,000 for 10% of Facebook. Many startups get $25,000 for 10% equity. Peter Thiel invested $500,000 for 10%. That kept the cap table healthy. Facebook remained attractive for follow-on rounds. Let's look at all the Facebook rounds. September 2004, 500K seed, that's the Peter Thiel round. Valuation $5 million. May 2005, 12.7 million Series A. Valuation $100 million. Revenue run rate $6 million. They've already established hypergrowth at this point, so the multiple is gigantic. But there's also revenue. There is a clear understanding how this company is going to turn the eyeballs into monetary gains, into revenue. May 2006, $27.5 million Series B. Valuation $525 million. Everyone was talking about Facebook at this point. Zuckerberg was being hailed as the next Bill Gates. Zuckerberg wielded a lot of negotiating power in each round. Facebook was a rocket. VCs were begging to get into the rounds. Zuckerberg did not get carried away. October 2007, $240 million Series C, valuation $15 billion, revenue run rate $150 million. Again, October 2007, $240 million Series C, valuation $15 billion, revenue run rate $150 million. Yahoo wanted to buy Facebook for $1 billion in July 2006. Investors wanted to sell. Zuckerberg did not want to sell. Zuckerberg won because he had ownership control. 2 lessons from Mark Zuckerberg. Don't raise too much money too soon. Focus on revenues to keep valuations high and minimize dilution. Ownership matters. So, corollary, to that example and that story is, how do you preserve equity in a scenario where you're being, you want to go join an accelerator, and the accelerators take a lot of equity. They'll take 10-15% for very little funding. 25,000 funding for 10% of the company is a terrible level of dilution. The answer to that question is use a non-equity accelerator. 1 million by 1 million is one non-equity charging accelerator. If you use a non-equity charging accelerator, you can gain the knowledge that you need, and then don't raise money too soon. Early funding will destroy the cap tables, and destroy cap tables equates to disaster for future rounds of financing. So focus on the strategy that I just showed you that Zuckerberg followed. Preserve your ownership. It matters. Okay. Next question. Can you talk about startups that were funded by customers? Great question, actually. Rafi Swery started WalkMe with the idea of helping confused users get help with navigating websites. Very early in the company's evolution, Rafi established ROI. When customers and prospects get lost on company websites, they either go away or pick up the phone. That means either lost sales or big customer support costs. Early customers showed 30% drop-off in inbound support calls, resulting in tremendous ROI. One such early customer was a portfolio company of a VC fund that was so impressed that they ended up investing in WalkMe. The company has raised close to 100 million in venture capital, if not more. I don't remember exactly how much they've raised, but they've raised a tremendous amount of funding. WalkMe has serious customer traction and robust revenue growth, and huge ROI. For the customer, it offers huge ROI. Start thinking about your own ROI. And if you want to discuss your specific case, come and talk to me at one of the 1 million by 1 million free roundtables. Go to 1mby1m.com, go to the free public roundtable tab, register to pitch there, and I will look at your business and give you further project-specific advice. Okay, next question. How long can you bootstrap a successful startup? Okay. Let me rephrase the question. What are some examples of enduring bootstrapping of a successful startup? The way to look at this is entrepreneurship is a marathon, not a sprint. Ask Adam Singolda. Adam founded Taboola in 2007. Taboola did 0 revenue for the first 4 years. In year 5, Taboola did $1 million. In year 6, Taboola did $100 million. Adam persisted, he didn't quit, he crossed the desert. And you need that mindset to succeed in entrepreneurship. You have to persevere, you can't quit, you have to cross the desert. Next question. Are there any examples of successful startups that began with one founder, whether it's in their basement or in the kitchen or in their garage, whatever, some configuration, but solo founder, basically? My take on this, by the way, a lot of people will tell you that solo founder is not a good idea. My take is you always start solo. You always start alone. Are people telling you that solopreneurs, solo founders don't succeed? Don't believe them. You always start alone. Ask Sean right here. Sean started Fine at America alone. It was a marketplace for visual artists to sell prints of their works. It took him 3 years to get to $1 million. In 5 years, Sean was doing 5 million in revenue and just 3 employees. You always start alone. Again, happy to discuss more and give you feedback on your specific venture. One more question. Are there any examples of a unicorn startup that was bootstrapped? Well, your advisors are telling you to quit your job. Your advisors are telling you to focus 100% on your startup. They are wrong. Your advisors are telling you to quit your job. Your advisors are telling you to focus 100% on your startup. They are wrong. One of the most effective ways of bootstrapping a startup is with your paycheck. Bills need to be paid. Validation could end up taking 18 months, 24 months, even 36 months. Ask Girish Navani. Girish bootstrapped eClinicalWorks with his paycheck. eClinicalWorks is doing close to or above $1 billion in revenue at this point. That's revenue, not valuation. If the company went public, valuation would be probably 10 billion plus. Girish bootstrapped a unicorn with his paycheck. eClinicalWorks never raised a penny of outside financing. Don't let your advisors mislead you. Don't quit your jobs without lining up your ducks. Again, happy to discuss more. This is a question from a woman entrepreneur who's asking, how do you deal with sexual advances from VCs? We have read story after story of male VCs hitting on women founders. These situations typically arise when the founder is an attractive woman. My first observation about the issue is that a beautiful, charismatic, smart woman is extremely powerful. Often, young women who fit this description are unaware of exactly how powerful they are. As a result, they do not fully appreciate the kind of impulses they trigger when they walk into a situation with one of the following categories of male VCs on the receiving end. Let's examine each of these scenarios in a bit of detail. This is a scenario that I call the Casanova. Many powerful rich men have a track record of this behavior. They have a Casanova complex. They chronically want to seduce. It is instinctive. If you run into one of these fellows and get the impression that they're more interested in you as a sexual phenomenon than in your business, you should just move on. The dynamic cannot be changed. Don't waste your time trying to stop following up. A second category, I call it the wife hunter. This industry is full of men. Many of them have very little social life outside work. They don't meet many women in natural course. So if you've met a single guy who is looking for a wife, again, don't waste your time unless you're interested in his proposition. This dynamic will also not change, and he won't consider your business seriously. His mind is elsewhere. So here's a quote from a woman entrepreneur who had a similar experience. She says, after hearing our business plan, this VC said he was interested in spending more time getting to know me. He was looking for a wife. He continued, then proceeded to enumerate all the monetary advantages that his wife would enjoy, including a $4 million apartment in San Francisco. As in many similar situations, I attempted to politely pivot the conversation in order to not bruise his ego, who had just proposed something akin to an 18th century marriage of convenience. Shortly after this encounter, I began wearing simple gold bands to meetings. It might be awkward to explain should a potential investor ask about my spouse, but the awkwardness it might deter was far greater. So that's her experience, and it happens. Here's the third category that I call the chronic extramarital affair seeker. This is also a scenario that unfortunately is very common. Sleazy men seeking extramarital affairs is abundantly represented in most of society, and the venture capital industry is no exception. Again, my advice, move on the minute you detect misaligned intent. Then there is a sexist asshole. Well, there are those as well, it seems. I don't meet many of these in my orbit, but they exist, according to reports. And here's an example from a wild story. Shortly after Catherine Tucker started Red Rover, an app that showcases local events for kids, she pitched the idea to an angel investor at the New York Tech event. But it didn't go over well. When she finished her pitch, the investor said he didn't invest in women. When she asked why, he told her, "I don't like the way women think," he said. "They haven't mastered linear thinking." To prove his point, he explained that his wife could never prioritize her to-do list properly. And then, as if he was trying to compliment her, he told Tucker she was different. "You're more male," he said. Tucker didn't need to hear anymore. I said, "Thanks very much," walked out and never spoke to him again. She recalled earlier this year as part of a panel discussion on fundraising while female at the annual Internet Week conference in New York. Catherine did the right thing by walking out and never following up again. You don't teach old dogs new tricks. Move on. He's not worth your time. He's not worth reforming. Next category, the bored husband in an unhappy marriage. For some reason, the world is full of unhappily married people. Again, the venture industry is simply a microcosm of the broader world. Try to identify quickly if somebody is humoring you with a different agenda or is genuinely interested in your business. Nonverbal signs, body language, the use of language itself will give you plenty of clues. Take them. At the first sign of inappropriate behavior, take the guy off your VC target list. Then comes a complicated category. The really nice single guy. We are human. VCs are also human. You could encounter a single guy who's very nice, very smart, and is both interested in your business and interested in you. To complicate matters further, you are single and you really like him. This may be the trickiest of the situations we've considered thus far. Do you want him as an investor? Do you want to date him? Both. What is his priority? Yikes. I can't advise you on this one. It's a genuine dilemma that is for the two of you to discuss and sort out. Can you do business in this situation? Possibly yes. Although if the relationship doesn't work out, you're in a mess. If the relationship works out, it could be wonderful. You get to spend tons of time together working on something you both love to do. And here's the last category, the really nice married guy. Let's complicate matters further. You encounter a really nice married VC who's both interested in your business and interested in you. And you really like him, whether you're married or single. Actually, this isn't that complicated. Run. Scratch him off your VC target list. You can't do business with him. Don't even think about taking his money. His mind is going to be elsewhere. In general, when we plan a financing round, we create a short list of target investors based on a variety of criteria that are business specific. Example, stage preference, current portfolio, domain knowledge, etc. As you do that, and then start meeting people, just be aware of the above 7 scenarios. If you see any of these scenarios arise in 6 out of 7 cases, you need to scratch the guy from your target list. The good news, the great news is that there are plenty of awesome VCs out there who do not fit this model. They're genuinely interested in funding entrepreneurs whom they can invest in to help build great companies. Even after you scratch a few off your target list, I'm sure you will have many left who belong to that last category. Focus on them and focus on plugging the holes in your own business logic. Okay. All right. That is all in terms of audience questions for today. I will answer one question, which is we have a Blackbaud 1M by 1M challenge going on right now, and some of you are asking about that. This is the 1 million by 1 million Blackbaud Social Good Startup Challenge. This is open to early stage companies with products that extend or complement the Blackbaud vertical solutions in a few different categories. It has a lot of different incentives. Number one incentive is a membership to the 1 million by 1 million premium program. Number two, access to the Blackbaud Sky developer platform. Plenty of support from Blackbaud if you're doing integrations with the Blackbaud platform. And Blackbaud has over 45,000 customers, so you will have access to the Blackbaud customer base. There's also a 5,000 to 25,000 grant, no dilution, no equity dilution, no strings attached grant from Blackbaud's new startup fund for consideration. It's not a guarantee, but if your business appeals to them, this is a grant that you could be winning. And a variety of other incentives. You can look at the announcement on our blog or on Blackbaud site. Your target customer base needs to be in one of the following criteria: arts and cultural organizations, corporate social responsibility, faith communities, foundations, healthcare organizations, higher education institutions, K-12 schools, and nonprofits. You need to be able to integrate with one or more Blackbaud products. And you will get API access and support. Applications are due on December 1st, and we look forward to seeing your application if you plan to apply. And then the last question that I will answer before we adjourn today's session is, how can I get feedback from you on my venture? You want feedback from me? Please go to 1 million by 1 million, the website, 1mby1m.com. Go to the free public roundtables tab. You will see a full description of how these roundtables work. You can bring your project, you can register to pitch, and I will work with you on your project, and the service is for free. Thank you very much for attending today. I will see you next week. And actually, if you come to the free public roundtables, I will see you in a couple of days. Thank you. Bye.